Now, the potential of Nigeria's regional development commissions to drive growth in their various jurisdictions has become a national concern. Now, with the existence of one for each of the country's 6 geopolitical zones. Established with necessary legislative instruments, regional development commissions in Nigeria are designed to be special purpose vehicles for taking the fundamentals of good governance to the grassroots. The very first one, the Niger Delta Development Commission, was established by former President Olusegun Obasanjo in the year of 2000 with the sole mandate of developing the oil-rich Niger Delta region. Well, however, allegations of corruption, proven and unproven, coupled with its inability to balance the books, they've all combined to rob the agency of all forms of credibility. And that seems to fuel current fears about the recently created ones. Well, Dom Okafor is a member of the House of Representatives Committee on the Southeast Development Commission. He joins us now to discuss the new deal in creating regional development commissions and their likely impact in driving growth in each region. Good afternoon to you. Thank you for joining us here on Newsday.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, you heard our intro. Some do have criticisms and believe that the creation of regional development commissions are a perversion of regionalism in Nigeria. What's your take on that?
Well, I think it's a good development. I know a lot of people have been clamoring for restructuring. If you ask me, I say this is the starting point of restructuring because it will enable each of these regions to develop at their own pace. I'm talking about Southeast Development Commission. Of course, you know the Southeast is made up of 5 states, Abia, Anambra, Ebonyi, Enugu, and Imo states. With the human capacity endowed in this region, I must tell you honestly that with this new development commission just inaugurated yesterday, the management and the board was inaugurated yesterday, they will hit the ground running. It's a new development, I must be honest with you.
Okay, well, we definitely hope for the best in that regard. But one thing that's clear is that the Southeast has historically lagged when it comes to federal infrastructure projects. So what specific mechanisms will the SEDC implement to ensure equitable funding and accelerated development compared to what we see in other regions?
Thank you very much. Of course, if you know the Igbo man, because of course the Southeast region is predominantly Igbos, if you know the kind of spirit, the entrepreneurial capacity of an average Igbo man, you know that with this establishment of this development agency, they will have a lot to bring on board to the benefit of the citizens of this region. And let me also say, with the mistakes of past or existing interventionist development agencies, I'm sure that the management team will learn from the mistakes of the likes of NDDC and all that. And with the quality of the leadership too, if you go through the leadership list, talking about the executive, the managing director, chief executive, is a young 39-year-old Honorable Mark Okoye, who was the youngest commissioner when he was commissioner for budget and economic planning under Obiano government in Anambra State. And shortly after that, he was also picked by the very performing Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo to head Anambra State Investment Promotion and Protection Agency. With such a young man coming with that pedigree, we don't expect less. And of course, the board is headed by a renowned manager of resources, a one-time minister for labor and productivity. I'm talking about Dr. Emeka Wog. And all the quintessential leaders of material and resources that make up the management team. I think they will bring a lot of good initiatives. But let me also say that for them to actually set up a very strong agency, one of the major things they must try to do first is to ensure that they have a good process When I talk about process, I know what I'm talking about. Incidentally, I'm a deputy chairman House Committee on Delegated Legislation, whereby I've been opportune to, have engagement with a lot of agencies of government. I must be honest with you, as we engage most of these agencies, when you see those ones that have good, for instance, let me use NEC, Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, as an example. The quality work that was done by, the team led by Professor Amadi there, when you go to that agency up to today, you see that they are doing marvelously well. So I also expect Southeast Development Commission to do similar in operations.
Well, we do all know that in every group of good eggs, there are probably a few bad ones that will slip through. So let me speak to the human nature angle of that. All these development commissions, the amount that's invested in them, is it commensurate with what actually comes through? Let's use the NDDC as an example. In the last 24 years, the numbers, I believe, that have been invested in the region have been over 7 trillion naira allocated over the course of the years. Would you say that the region has experienced commensurate development to the numbers that have been spewed in terms of how much is invested? And how is this going to show through with other development commissions?
Well, like I did say, we learn from example of others. We learn from mistakes of others. So I'm sure that the management of Southeast Development Commission, they're not going to invent the wheels. Good enough, they have as case studies some of these agencies that were established before them to learn from their mistakes and know where to make amends. And then talking about Southeast, if you know an average Igbo man and how entrepreneurial they are, I must be honest with you that it won't be easy to run such a development commission in Southeast. Because I will tell you honestly that these board members and the executive members are going to be, a lot of people will be watching them. I don't think they can afford not to excel. People are looking up to them. The Igbo man, the Southeast have been crying about marginalization. And let me also use the opportunity to commend the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for ascending to this bill. It is 54 years since after the Civil War, and for us to get to this level where we now have a development commission, where we are going to be getting money from appropriation, getting money from the ecological fund, getting money from all the state government, as a pool to this fund, and I'm sure also the donor agencies across the world will also be there to assist. So they don't have any reason not to perform. Like I did say, if they set up a good process, the sky will be their limit.
All right, let's get into some specifics at this time. We both know that there's massive youth unemployment in the region. So can you speak to the innovative programs that the SEDC plans to implement when it comes to job creation and skills development?
Thank you so much. I was talking with some people yesterday, and I was recommending the 1 youth 2 skill model of Professor Chukwuma Soludo. I'm sorry that I'll keep using Anambra State because I'm from Anambra State, and Professor Chukwuma Soludo happens to be my constituent, and he's doing very well, and I'm proud of him. There's this program that he initiated some few years ago, shortly after he came on board, 1 youth 2 skill. He picked up about 5,000 youths and trained them. When I say training, it's not this haphazard 2 weeks training. Many of them went through hands-on qualitative apprenticeship. And after that, they were empowered. They were given seed capital to go and start various businesses. And I tell you what, after about a year, 1,000 out of that 5,000 came up and said, look, Your Excellency, we are now millionaires. We also want to replicate what you did for us for another 1,000. Last week, Friday, they have a very well, of course, it was everywhere. It was viral in the social media, where this 1,000 came out boldly to say, we are all millionaires. We are ready to also impact on others. So I think the management of Southeast Development Commission can borrow a leaf from that. And I tell you, honestly, the sky will be the limit. But how do they also do that? Like I did say, An average Igbo man is very entrepreneurial. They're very productive. They're very, innovative. But then they need a lot of infrastructure to be able to, fly. What do they need to do? There's a need for power. If you go to Aba, of course, Aba is one of the commercial centers in Southeast. You see a lot of cottage industries, but they are limited by a lot of factors, especially power. Good enough, Southeast is endowed with a lot of gas resources in Imo State, in Abia State, in Anambra State. Then coal is in abundant, in Enugu and Ebonyi. So they can easily set up power plants fired by coal, fired by gas. And if there is regular power supply, I tell you, most of these youths are going to have, job opportunities. A lot of Southeasterners all over the world in diaspora, many of them are eager to come back. And I tell you, if the power is fixed and a lot of job opportunities, it will also reduce insecurity. Because when these young ones, these unemployed youths have jobs, I tell you, they won't have time for drug abuse and insecurity. And of course, that's also talking about non-kinetic means of checking insecurity.
Very well said, Dom Okafor, member of the House of Reps Southeast Development Commission. We'd like to thank you for joining us today and having this discussion with us.